Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook, so you can stop guessing, start healing, and finally feel like yourself again. No more one-size-fits-all protocols, just real answers, deep-rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now on to our show. And good afternoon, Kylie.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I'm excited to dive in a little bit on not only what Kylie does, but also she has a really unique kind of health journey. And I know Kylie runs a few businesses, and she primarily does story-based marketing for businesses and people and brands in the personal development and wellness space to add another 6 or 7 figures in revenue just from storytelling and really sharing their authentic brand story. Which, in your words, Kylie, how did you get into that line of work?
It's a funny story. I actually was a performance poet. I don't know if you've ever heard of slam poetry, but
Yeah, of course.
deeply entrenched in that world. I had a venue called Third Eye Spoken. We did shows like once a month in Gainesville, Florida. This little small college town where everybody's all about the beer and the football. We would like pack in these shows for these poetry shows, and I would spend all my spare time writing and performing and just traveling, and that was my passion. That was my life. I had no money. I like worked at dead-end jobs just to pay my bills to do my poetry. And after a while of doing it, I saw the writing on the wall. Like I saw that I was good at it, but not good enough to go pro. Like I do know a couple people that made their full-time living off of doing performance poetry, and I could see that I wasn't going to be in that category. And so I started to get a little restless about money, and I was like, I need to make some money. I need to stop being so poor. And so I ended up getting this astrology reading with a woman named Franchelle. She's a medicine woman from New Zealand. And she was like, you're supposed to have a lot of money, actually, and you're supposed to start a business. And if you don't do it, then you're holding your soul back a grade in school and you need to do it. And I got upset. It wasn't what I was imagining for my life, but I went to the bookstore the next day and I was like, well, if I was going to start a business, what would I do? And this book about internet marketing kind of like lit up, and I bought it and I read it, and I was like, these people are just doing what I'm doing with poetry, but they're doing it on like a global stage instead of just 100, 200 people. And so I was able to take my art and put it into a marketing campaign pretty quickly. The first ad campaign I ever worked on, we generated $2.5 million in 12 weeks. And I just kind of sat the client down and was like, what's your story? What do you want to be known for? How do you want to be seen? How do you want to be remembered? What matters to you? And I just started writing ads, and I like had no idea what I was doing. I just started running ads and writing ads and crushing it with ads. And pretty quickly people wanted to know what I was doing. And I didn't feel comfortable teaching what I was doing because I was just kind of shooting from the gut, like writing things that I thought would move people emotionally. I didn't understand story structure. I didn't understand neuroscience, like none of the stuff that I understand today. So I started hiring and working with all these professionals that I thought could teach me story structure and teach me what was working and why it was working. And I was able to kind of start to come up with frameworks, and people were starting to replicate my results. And so I never intended on being a marketer. I did get formal marketing training after that. I started studying with all the marketers that I could study with and taking a ton of copywriting courses. And so I did become a professional copywriter, but it didn't start out that way.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny you went in and kind of hit a chord and went really big, really fast, and then kind of backtracked. I'm like, okay, let me figure out what this whole marketing thing is about.
Yeah.
People do it the other way, but love that for you. What was kind of one of the biggest things that you've learned along the way that maybe surprised you?
I don't know. One of the things I learned is that if you're trying to manipulate people in your marketing, there's going to be some kickback for that. And I remember this one particular campaign. I don't know if it surprised me, but the client I was working for, it was that same client I was just talking about where we were like really crushed her campaign. And she like loved all the results I was getting for her, but she hired somebody that is probably the biggest name in internet marketing. And he was looking at what we were doing and he was like, that's not going to work. Like, that's not, you shouldn't be doing it that way. That's not going to work. And he was like, you need to trigger fear for people. Like, you need to make people feel afraid. And so she's like, we're going to write this sequence and it's going to be about fear. And I was like, this is not going to fly. She had a really high touch luxury brand and people were used to like a lot of validation, a lot of like nurturing and a lot of like positive encouragement from this client. And they were more used to that style. And then we were coming in and we were going to like try to trigger their fear and get them to take action. And I did the series for them because they asked me to do it. And I was like really begrudgingly wrote copy in that way to their audience. And it was highly ineffective. We got complaints. We got more opt-outs than any other email. The people were mad about it. They didn't like it. It didn't work. So I think the surprising thing, I guess, is that you don't always have to, if you're trying to market or sell something, you don't always have to do what the popular consensus is in terms of like what people say works in marketing, because people are moved by, like, if you look at a Nike ad, they're so good at telling stories that encourage people to believe in their own greatness. You know, they'll show people running and getting up at 5 a.m. to go for a long run and losing 50 pounds and winning the race and, you know, getting their. So like, if you look at a brand like that, you can see that positive validation is what works really, really well in these billion-dollar brands. But then you get these internet marketers that come in there and they're like, oh, you need to trigger people's pain, or you need to make them feel bad about themselves, or you need to make them feel inadequate. And I've found that like testing those things doesn't work for my audiences.
Yeah, that's a tough one, being in the business and the online business for the last, 5, 6 years is just everybody tells you, not everybody, but a lot of people, it's just like, yeah, scare people, like urgency. And it just, especially as a female, it's like, I don't want to always feel that way. I don't want to always trigger that in people. Does it convert better? Maybe, but like it never felt like super authentic as well, which I feel like is probably where, I don't know, do you see that disconnect with some of your clients where it's like what is sells versus what like really feels aligned?
I think what sells is what feels aligned, but
Yeah.
but you just have to train yourself out of the bad habits that people are teaching out there. Like a lot of the things that a lot of the marketing trainings will teach you. I used to call myself a marketing therapist because people would come to me and they'd have all this training and they would have no money to show for it. And they'd spent like 6 figures on marketing and they had nothing. And I'm like, well, you're not telling your story. You're not encouraging people. You're not being yourself. Like, so of course it didn't work. I think what works in like larger mass market marketing does not work in smaller, more self-aware industries. And so my clients are all in personal development or wellness or health. And so their audiences are looking to make a positive change. They're not looking to be like manipulated. So what might work for like Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or Starbucks is not going to work in a more self-aware market.
Yeah, very true. And when you've been on this journey of entrepreneurship, what are some things that you've done to keep your body and your mind healthy to perform at, a high level?
I was really, for several years, since I moved, I haven't been doing it as much, but I had a really like strict cold plunge routine.
Oh,
So
yeah?
I was going almost every single day and getting in for between like 5 and 20 minutes. And that was really, really helping my health. I need to start doing it. I need to at least be doing cold showers. But there was a cold plunge place walking distance from my apartment complex. And I would just, after work every day, I would just go and get in the water. And it was like between 40 and 50 degrees. So it was pretty cold. And I would just do that as much as I possibly could. And I was accompanying that with the Wim Hof breathing. So I was doing a lot of the breath work with it as well. So the breath work and the cold exposure. Meditation is another really big thing for me. I'm like a daily meditator, and I can feel the difference if I start a day without the meditations. It's not as good. So that's something that's like a non-negotiable for me is sitting on the meditation cushion, although I don't really have a cushion. It's more like sitting up in my bed and do, but that's how I like to start my days. And when I'm on point, it's like how I like to end my days as well.
Now, you had a bout with Epstein Barr, we were kind of chatting about before. Can you walk me through that kind of journey that you went through?
Yeah, I found out I was sick. Like I went to a woman my partner got all this testing by this woman in Florida, and she was like, you've got to do this testing. Like, you're going to love it. It's crazy what this lady can do. And I don't know if it was similar to the kind of testing that you do, but it was really interesting. And so she was the first one that diagnosed me with Epstein Barr. And she was like, you're so sick that you don't even know that you're sick. Like, you have no idea how sick you really actually are. And I was like, oh, I didn't know I was sick. But like all through college, I had just been like, I had discovered Ritalin and just like taking my friend's ADHD medications to get my work done because I couldn't focus without it. And I guess because I was sick and I didn't know. And I would be like drinking a lot of Starbucks coffee, taking a lot of Ritalin, taking any kind of Ritalin type medicine, any ADHD medicine that I could get my hands on. That's how I would get all straight A's and I would pass all my classes, and I was, overperforming, but I was having to do it in a way that was really hard on my body. And so when I got that diagnosis, she was like, you're going to have to change your diet, and you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to do that. And I didn't want to do any of those things at that time. My relationship was falling apart, and it was taking a lot of my energy and effort to try to fix it. And I was like, I'm not changing anything. Actually, I'm just going to drink and smoke weed and, run my business. And I've been sober for 8 years, but I was drinking a lot then, and I just didn't want to change anything. Mm-hmm. So then a couple of years later, I was kind of coming up against the same walls with my health and my productivity. And my friend was like, you should see this lady named Mary. And her name is Mary Ruddick. She's pretty well known now in the health world. I don't know if you know her, but she's kind of the person that takes the most impossible cases and makes people feel better. Like she'll take people like off their deathbed and get them healthy in 3 months. And like, it's crazy the results that she gets. And she actually put me on a very large supplement, an antiviral supplement load, where I was taking like a lot of like L-lysine and different amino acids and different things like that to kill the virus. But she actually put me on a ketogenic diet. That was what she did. She put me in ketosis for 6 years. Yeah, I stayed on a ketogenic diet for 6 years, and I felt amazing. I wish I would go back to it because I felt so much better when I was on the high fat diet. And I got better within about 6 months. So it was like, we tested for the Epstein Barr after 6 months, and it showed the way that they did the test. They told me that it showed that I had it. So like I had some markers for it still because I had it, but the markers for it being active were not, I was not testing for those anymore. So we pretty much killed it. Her theory was like, we're going to starve it of sugar. So her whole thing with ketosis is like, if you're on a ketogenic diet, you're not going to get sick because every virus needs sugar to replicate. And when you're taking away your body's natural glucose production, you're not going to be able to feed cancer or viruses. Like during COVID, I was like convinced I never got COVID because I was on a ketogenic diet. Because I was around people all the time that like I was around people with COVID and I would just never get it. And I did some research to see if anybody had ever looked into that. There was a little bit of research on viruses and the ketogenic diet. And there is some, even the Western medical system is starting to say like, yeah, maybe there's a link there. Maybe there's a correlation there. Mary was convinced of the correlation. And so I just went with it. I got better pretty fast, which was great.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing because some people are sick with that for decades and have no idea.
And they'll tell you there's nothing that they can do. Like the Western doctors will just give you Ritalin. Like me, like I figured it out on my own. I need Ritalin to function, but and that's basically just speed, so they just basically give you speed because they know you're going to have no energy and you're not going to be able to do anything. So they don't try to treat it. They give you ADHD medicine and they send you on your way, and that's what they do for it. And so she was like, no, we're going to kill it. And we took a very proactive approach to killing it, and we did test it to see for sure. And I just stayed on that diet because it was working for me so well and I was feeling so amazing. I just stayed on the diet.
What made you change?
I wanted to eat an orange one day. I was like I really want it because you can eat fruit on the ketogenic diet, but very small amounts and only berries.
Yeah.
You can't eat any other fruit. And I was like, I just want to eat an orange. And so I ate an orange and I was like, this is amazing. And then I like binge ate French fries and ice cream for like 3 months. Like I just, because I wasn't able to eat anything like that for so many years, you know? So
Hmm.
I just like, and then I did like, I would go in and out of ketosis. I haven't done it in a couple of years now, but I would kind of go back and forth and kind of explore it. It's extremely strict and it's very difficult. So like, I put in my time, I felt like, and I didn't want to do it anymore. But when I do it, I definitely feel better. It's a diet that does agree with my body.
Well, that's so important because everybody's so different on what feels good. I know people like I've had clients that feel amazing and clients that feel awful on the keto, but I'm a big fan of cycling it. So like having some days where you go into ketosis and some days where you're not. And that's I feel like not only good physiologically but mentally.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard, but there's a lot of really great studies about keto and but it's hard because what you did happens to a lot of people is they're like they get a little taste of freedom, but then it can reactivate viruses. You know, did you find that you had any flare-ups or you were pretty good?
No, I never got sick again.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I never got it again.
Yeah. Awesome.
I don't eat a lot of sugar. Like that was one thing that this is kind of funny. It's kind of gross, but the couple of times that I would get knocked out of ketosis, then I would always eat ice cream and French fries because I would be like, and then I would go back in ketosis. But if I accidentally got knocked out, I could feel it and I could tell.
Mm.
So I would like go and eat. And the couple of times that I did that where I ate sugar, I actually threw up. So
Mm.
like the first time that I reintroduced sugar to my body after 3 to 4 years of having absolutely no sugar, except for from berries, like I got very, very sick. And so I never forgot that. So I try to stay away from sugar in general. Like I try to not eat a lot of processed sugar because I understand how bad it is for my system just from having that experience where like my body was just rejecting it. It was like poison.
Yeah, that'll happen. It's crazy because you probably ate it with no problem before you went into this. Then you went into that and you realize, wait a minute, my body maybe doesn't like this.
No, it didn't want it at all. I would get so sick, like extremely sick when I would eat sugar.
Mm, crazy, crazy. When you know, worked on your health, when you did all of this work, did you find that it also helped on like the business side of things, relationship side of things, any other things improve?
Business was definitely easier. When I was in ketosis, I could focus for like 18 hours. I mean, I could just like my focus and my ability to concentrate and be have mental endurance like way, way better in ketosis. It's like I feel like the glucose just makes us sluggish.
Yeah, everybody's so different.
Yeah.
But focus is a big thing because obviously when you run your own business or businesses, it's you gotta have that brain power. What would you say if somebody was wanting to start their own business and, you know, having built a business on your own, what are some advice that you would give somebody that's maybe newer to having an online business?
Yeah, you have to try to figure out how to have balance from the very beginning because it's very easy to go into it and just do it all the time, especially if it's an internet-based business. Like there's always one more thing. Like there's always one more thing that's going to want your attention. So right now it's AI. Like every time I log onto Facebook, I'm getting all these ads for like if you're a business owner and you're not doing this with AI, you're going to waste 20 years of your life. And like, I don't have time to learn about every new AI tool. I have to focus on what I know is working and
Yeah.
keep things moving forward and keep finding new clients and keep serving new clients without like, I can't like be pressured with every fad and every new thing that's coming. I have used AI in my business and it's saved me so much time. What used to take me 80 hours now takes me 20, like literally, which is amazing. But I can't look at every single ad marketing a new AI product to me and learn about all of them and implement all of them because it's going to take more of my time. It's going to take away time from my family, my partnership, my health, my relationships, my hobbies. Like it's really easy to start a business and have absolutely no work-life balance. And I did not, gosh, probably for like the first 5 years of my business, I was working like 60 hours a week, all through the weekends, on vacation, still checking Facebook ads. I was running Facebook ads for people and I was still checking my client accounts even from vacations and like making sure everything was still running. And I had no like balance in my life at all. And it was okay because I was in my 20s when I was doing that. I'm in my 40s now, so I can't live like that anymore. But when I was in my 20s, it was kind of easy to do. As I got older, it became more, it just got harder and harder to live like that.
Yes, I hear that a lot. Well, in my 20s, I could get away with it. And as your body gets more mature, it gets a little more sensitive. um, if you could just kind of wrapping things up, one of the biggest life-changing moments you've had as a businesswoman, like what has been kind of an aha moment or like pivotal part of your business that you wish you would have known at kind of like the beginning?
You know, it's interesting. The thing that I needed to know, I actually learned right away from that very first ad campaign where I saw that what I had been doing in art is working in business. And I had, and like growing up being a starving artist, like I had no idea that what I was doing could have actually made any money at all. Like I thought that I had to either try to find a career as an artist or I had to have some dead end job. Like to be an artist and to be committed to my vision of my art and my writing and my poetry and everything that I was so passionate about. Like I never knew that I could make any money with that. And I really struggled for a long time and I stayed poor for a really long time. But from that very first campaign when somebody did hire me, and asked me to run their ads. And I said yes. And I didn't know what I was doing. I taught myself the back end of Facebook ads in 2 days and I launched an ad and it pretty much went viral and made us a lot of money. The very first weekend, we turned $575 ad spend into $67,500 in return, like within 3 days. And so it was crazy what was happening. And so I think for people that are maybe not as entrepreneurial, but are more like artistic or they're good writers or they're good at design, there's a possibility that you can make a lot of money doing what you really love doing, because what works in the creative fields very, very much crosses over into business and marketing. So I wish I had known that sooner, because I stayed poor until I was about 35. And it would have been nice to have made money a little bit younger. I had an English degree and everybody would ask me like, oh, what are you going to do with that? That's stupid, you know? But then I found out that I could make a lot of money as a copywriter, and it turned out to be a good thing that I got that English degree and that it taught me how to write and that I had strong communication skills and everything like that. So reading books and writing a lot of papers did serve me well. I just didn't do with it what I thought I was going to do with it.
And I hear that all of the time.
I'm sure you do.
I love that though. But where can people connect with you if they want to learn more about what you do?
Yeah, I'm very active on Facebook, Kylie Slavik. And if you write to me there, I will respond to you. And my website is kylieslavik.com. You can visit that as well. You can opt in and get on my list. I'm not a super active emailer. Maybe I write to my list like once a month, so you won't get bombarded with things, but you will hear from me here and there. And so, yeah, those are the best two ways.
Awesome. I'll put her website and Facebook down below in the show notes so you guys can check her out if you want. And Kylie, thank you for being here. Listeners, thank you, of course, for being here, and we'll catch you on the next show. Thanks, Kylie.
Thank you.